me. All right, Drexel. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey guys, it's Drexel back in the studio with Black Hollywood Live's Political Culture. It finally happened. Bernie Sanders endorsed Hillary Clinton today. Is Donald Trump going to pick Mike Pence on Friday? And we've got some guests in the studio to talk about Black Lives Matter. Stay tuned.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, Political Culture.
Hey guys, welcome to Black Hollywood Live's Political Culture. I'm your host, Drexel Heard. You can find me at Drexel Heard.
Hey guys, it's Elayna. You can follow me at Hey It's Lay.
What's going on, guys? You can follow me at Billy Sorrells.
Guys, I am back in the studio. Thank you guys for holding down last week.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I'm not that cheery, but I am happy. On the inside, I'm happy.
I know, she was like, are you gonna make it in time? I'm on jury duty all week, and she's like, are you gonna make it?
Are you gonna be here?
I don't know.
Here to take over?
I am glad to be back in the studio. What a crazy week.
A long week.
Well, a very long week. I feel like it was the longest week of the summer, but this summer in general has been very, very long. We've got J. Cole opening the show with his song, Be Free.
Yes.
An incredible show happening today. We've got some guests in the studio who we're going to talk to a little bit later on. But I'm going to start the show off talking about a little bit of a few things that happened this week and last week. The Democratic National... This music is just playing in my ear.
Because you need to hear it.
I just need to hear the whole song.
There's a statement being made that you need to be clear
Just take it over my show. The Democratic National Convention finalized its platform this weekend.
Yes.
They will take that to the convention in a couple of weeks. Republicans have their convention next week. I'm actually going to be hosting the Trump vs. Hillary show, or on the panel starting next week. So you can catch that as we go into the general election.
It will be on AfterBuzz.
It'll be on AfterBuzz.
Yes,
When I'm here, it'll be on AfterBuzz. A lot of concessions, a lot of coming together on that platform last week at the Bernie Sanders camp and the Hillary Clinton camp, particularly on minimum wage, climate change, death penalty, even though Hillary Clinton is kind of on the opposite side of what the platform is going to say, so we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, we went into it. We elaborated on it last week.
Last week,
So we'll see what happens with that. I mean,
I know you're super excited about Bernie finally coming to his senses and
I don't think it was really
endorsing your girl.
finally endorsing her.
Finally endorsing Hillary Clinton. I actually woke up this morning on the way out. I was almost late to jury duty this morning, but I caught the beginning of what Senator Sanders had to say. It was a really big day in politics if you were just watching the news in general. Loretta Lynch was on Capitol Hill today. Bernie Sanders was endorsing Hillary Clinton in Portsmouth, New Hampshire today. And then President Obama and George W. Bush we're in Dallas, Texas at a vigil today. I don't know if you guys saw the video, but I posted it on my Facebook right before I got here. George Bush, they were singing the battle hymn of the Republic, and George Bush and all the first families were standing on the stage, and George Bush was like singing, and I don't know what was happening, but you guys have to watch the video. It's very funny. NBC News put it up. And
Was he dancing?
He was trying.
He was trying.
He was dancing. I was like, did he just forget where he was? Was he drinking?
He was
something?
having a moment.
He was
Why
having a
does
moment.
that disturb me?
But he was holding onto Michelle's hand, and Michelle looked like
Michelle's probably like,
What is
if you don't let my hand go.
right. She said, "This man here has got me looking crazy. Got me holding his hand up here." So the Hillary Clinton Bernie Sanders event today hopefully will unify the party just a little bit.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of Bernie Sanders holdouts, and which is fine, which is great. I just hope that come November, folks will make an appropriate choice.
Appropriate decision.
I won't say. You can vote for whoever you want to, but make an appropriate choice. I was tweeting today. I did a Twitter rant today on Jill Stein because she is just not an appropriate choice, alternative for Bernie Sanders.
Bernie.
Yeah. And if y'all haven't seen Drexel's Twitter rants,
I feel like I always miss them.
they are the best.
I miss them.
I just fire them off one by one. She's just not an appropriate alternative to Bernie Sanders, and just to the idea of what he brings, what he's brought to the Democratic Party, and neither is Gary Johnson. You got a 2-term Republican governor, libertarian candidate. I saw him at Politicon a couple of weeks ago, and I'm all about alternative candidates, and I've said that from the beginning, and bringing in 30 parties and other people, but you want the right person.
Exactly.
Like, if Bernie Sanders was running a third party candidate, you know, I'd be like, oh, that's great. There's a person
third choice,
who is a more qualified candidate than Gary Johnson, Jill Stein, to take that mantle up. And at some point, you know, I hope that there's going to be a third party candidate that will take that over. Take that mantle over. Also this week, on the Republican side, like I mentioned before, the Republican National Convention starts on Monday. The Rules Committee meets this weekend, so that will be very interesting to see, because I think that the Rules Committee might vote to have the vice presidential pick, whoever that may be, get the same amount of delegates on the floor. If that happens, Donald Trump might not get his Republican pick.
Well, let's hope so.
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know what's going to happen.
This election is so crazy, I have no idea. So we'll see what happens this weekend. Obviously, we'll talk about it on Tuesday of next week. But the name floating around right now is Governor Mike Pence of Indiana. Indiana is in the news this week because Evan Bayh, the former governor and former senator, might be coming back to run for his seat. So we'll see. I think Mike Pence brings a whole
Different
brings
vibe.
what brings to the ticket what Donald Trump
he balances him out in a sense. It's almost like this kind of.
But the scale is so tipped, though.
Yeah.
How do you balance Donald Trump out? You
remove him from the ticket.
Balance him out. Yeah, just completely get rid of him. Who knows what may happen this weekend? They might not even they might even switch up their Republican ticket
let's hope the people of Cleveland have forgiven since they, you know, obviously last week, a week before last, the championship sign to put up the Republican sign up there. So hopefully they're in good spirits since that's a swing state. They need all they can get right now.
They do need all the help they can get. It might be a really interesting convention next week because not a single sitting Republican president, not a single former Republican presidential nominee. There's about 12 to 15 sitting senators that will not be there next week. So it might be a very empty
convention
establishment part of the convention. It will be very entertaining though. So make sure you guys catch that on probably all the networks and C-SPAN next week. And you can obviously follow us on Twitter because we'll be tweeting it live at our at our handles and at BHL Polyculture on Twitter. You can use the hashtag BHLPC and use the hashtag right now during this conversation today because we are about to switch gears for a second. We're going to bring in our guests for today. Actor and activist and founder and president of Create the Change, Kevin Welbeck, is here. Welcome to the show.
Hey.
And from MTV's new season of Wild 'N Out, Billy Sorrells is here.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming in. Full disclosure, Billy is B's brother.
Hence,
so there is sometimes you got to say that. You never know
because we could have the same name.
People would be like, what? Black people look alike? Last week, a lot of stuff happened. I won't even say last week because it really has been a 2-year ongoing, 2 or 3 year ongoing situation, starting with Trayvon Martin longer than that, yes. How did you guys, starting with Alton Sterling, how did you guys feel about that? Just open to discussion. Let's start with how you guys felt about that situation last week.
I actually cried. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't want to see the video. It was a lot of people that kept mentioning me and saying, Brittany, you have to look at this. This is pretty serious. And I was just like, I knew what I was trying to prepare myself. And so once I seen the video and then I had to see his daughter in the back seat and just his girlfriend, I was done. And I was... I couldn't even say
that's Phil.
Yeah, so
that's Philando Castile. Alton Sterling.
The other one is the one that got shot. I apologize.
Yes.
Yeah, no. I by both of them, I was completely floored, and I was at loss for words for it, and it happens too many times, and I think that it's so many hashtags with everybody's names that it's just another story, and it's sad that it just keeps happening repeatedly and over and over and over again.
When news broke about Alton Sterling, I was actually numb to it. I watched the video. I had a reaction that was just like, because it was very graphic, it was very explicit, but I was numb to it, and I remember saying to myself, like, I became really just sad and depressed. I was like, seriously? Like, again? Was my initial reaction. And then with the events happening on, it, like, broke down, and that became something that's unexplainable that I still can't even explain, because I feel myself changing through these events, through the process. I'm becoming a different person. I'm becoming someone who is now more vocal, someone who is now more expressive, someone who feels the need to be more active in fighting the change. So I feel like, and some people might be upset with this, but some of these events that happened this past week needed to happen so that that flame in some of us can be sparked, because I'm still trying to figure out what my purpose is. So maybe my purpose is connected to what happened this past week, because I literally thought about changing my career fit. I've had so many thoughts, and I've been all over the place, and I'm just like still trying to figure out what to do with it all.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about that too when we were texting back and forth, and you're just like, wow, like this is really has sparked something in me that I wasn't there before. And I was hearing a different side of Elayna just through the shows. I'm like, whoa, this is, this is something different.
Guys?
Well, I'm gonna say this. I was actually down in Ferguson when just protesting, and that for me was one of the first steps that I had to take, was actually take some action to go there and actually see where we actually have to step in and start, making our revolution. Like this time that we're in right now, I mean, there is no more Jesse Jackson. There is no more Martin Luther King. There is no more Ralph Abernathy. There are new names that, the D-Ray Mac. There are new people. There are new players involved. And, I mean, honestly, like, the issue that we have, it's not just about black guys getting killed, getting shot.
Yeah.
It's not just about them getting killed. It's how we're perceived and how we're handled, and how people choose to handle us in an inhumane way, and how they view us.
Right.
And when I say they, I mean mainstream society, how they look at us. And I think that's the trigger point to why these killings happen. And I think it's about self-portrayal. I think it's about what we portray, and I think it's also about how we educate other people to deal with us, and then what image are we putting out there. I mean, like, to be honest, I'm not saying that I advocate anything that happened, but I think we have to be more accountable for what image we portray for ourselves.
Right.
I think we have to be more accountable for how active. We shouldn't have to wait till somebody dies for us to go open a black bank account. Come on,
right.
a bank account at a black bank.
Support a black business.
Like, it shouldn't take this. I mean, if this is what this is, I mean, the value point of this person's life was worth a whole lot more than just us putting a couple $100s in a black bank or trying to make $1 million happen. I think this is a mindset that maybe this was a trigger point, like we all are saying, for people to wake up to be more involved. I mean, you hear people all the time saying, black nationalists saying we should succeed from dealing with mainstream society and go back to dealing with that. The worst thing that could happen to us is integration. But we aren't supportive. We don't support black businesses. We aren't aware of it. We don't have a conscious effort of it. We have a lot of self-hate that's happening. And so it's a lot of things that have to be addressed in this situation. Yeah, you're killing us. But you know what, another thing that has to be addressed? We have a tendency in our society to feel like, hey, I don't want to be the police. Right. The police, you frown upon this person. If somebody called you a police person or police, you would feel that this is a derogatory term.
Yeah.
Like, this is somebody who has a city given job and office and position that they have to hold down to protect our community. And I think it starts with us patrolling and policing our areas and not being afraid to get involved in law enforcement. And I think that's the stigma that has to change, because you're expecting people who don't know how to deal with you or are unaware with your culture to feel comfortable. And if all I know is, and I'm not advocating this, I'm just saying, if all I hear is the black dude that's riding around in the car is strapped up and I'm shooting and I'm gonna hit you in the face, I'm gonna wet your dome. Like, come on, dog. Like, how do you expect people to deal with that? They've never been involved in it. That's adequate training. I think it's an issue that it's multiple fronts of what we have to do. Then we're killing each other. So it's like you have to take a conscious effort at really trying to address the real issue. Yes, police brutality is a big thing, but a bigger issue is how we are handling ourselves and our community. What are we doing to actively deal with this? Why are we only talking politics right now because somebody died?
Yeah.
Right. And it's so funny, not funny, but crazy, ironic that you mentioned that, because I texted my friend Malynda, who will be in the studio a little bit later, and I said, we're about to do this show, And we started this show wanting to engage people in the political process, talking about issues that matter to the country. Not that obviously this issue doesn't matter, but we want to talk about healthcare. We want to talk about building communities. And we want to talk about
the things in politics that aren't being spoken about with millennials.
Right.
Yeah.
And just kind of getting people to understand those issues a little bit better. And yet we're in 2016 and we're continuing to have this conversation constantly, which overshadows anything that, and should, overshadows anything that we're talking about as we go into an election where issues are continually going to matter. But Billy, you brought up a good point that I want to touch on real quick, because the Dallas shooting happened the next day after Alton Sterling, and the Dallas police
After
chief...
Philandrio.
After Philandrio's Castile, yes. I'm sorry. And the Dallas police chief gave a press conference on Friday and mentioned, I don't know if it was an off-the-cuff remark or if he really meant it or whatever, but he mentioned that the Dallas police force was looking for hiring. And a lot of people took it very different ways. So I'm interested to know if you think that is something that all police forces should be doing, or if that is because there's not that many black police chiefs in the nation. And it just so happens that the black police chief is down in Dallas, one of the major cities. So how do you guys feel about just that route? Because I know you touched on that.
I'll speak on that. Honestly, I like it. They should already be putting their own people in their own neighborhoods. I think what they've done is set us up against each other. You have black and Mexican beefs. You'll put a Mexican and white officer in a black neighborhood, or you do vice versa or whatever. And I think we definitely do need to be patrolling our own streets, patrolling our own neighborhoods until you train the officers to be sensitive enough and be knowledgeable enough of our people. If they come in with a stereotype, with a mindset already thinking, all black people are one way, or all black people. I'm not saying all police officers, because all police officers aren't like 1% but the ones that are like this, that come in with fear. You watch the videos, you see, even when you see their reactions before they shoot, you see a sense of fear. For some reason, they look at a black person and are just filled with fear. And they need to be, I don't know how much training they do, but it needs to be monthly. It needs to be something that happens all the time, to where you're mentally being trained. You get police sensitivity training, basically, just so you know how to deal with situations and until that happens, put a black officer in a black community.
So you say that, and that brings me to the point where you're like, these officers, like when I watched the video when Phil was murdered in the seat and the officer was behind the gun, he was like, I told him not to move. Like, he was reacting in fear. He was fearful. It doesn't only happen with police officers. That's the thing. We as a nation have mental issues with black. Even myself, because you can ask me, if I go into a certain area, will I lock my doors and put my window up? Right. Will I grab closer to my purse? It's not because you're black, it's because I fear you. I fear what I know that you could do. I fear what I feel like what the neighborhood is known for. So it's bigger than just the officers. It's us. It's all of us as people. We see certain people. We see the way that they dress. We see the way that they speak. We see the way that they carry themselves. And we're automatically taught to fear them.
Right.
So it's something that, honestly, how can you really fix a mental issue with a nation of people?
I was talking about that earlier because, we all went to very different colleges, and I know you went to Howard.
Texas Southern.
Or Texas Southern.
Yeah.
Somebody went to Howard. Somebody I was talking to. But I was talking to my friend today about the reason why I didn't choose an HBCU. Obviously, I come from a military family, so my whole life is spent kind of in this diversified group of people. And I talk to my brothers about it all the time, and I just said, I don't think that we would have been able to survive that. I was like, I'll go to Morehouse. No, I don't think I would be able to mentally understand being at a historically, just around of any one group of people, not just black people. I can't be around a whole bunch of white people at the same time, or I can't be around a whole bunch of other people. I just can't be I need diversity in my life.
Same.
And I always said when I was growing up, I said, if I become president of the United States, I'm going to make people move around the country. Everybody has to move to a different region, because I think that's the only way for us to understand other groups and. So I think until we get to that point where, people always use the adage, well, if black people aren't killing each other, then why should we care about
That's not the point.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They use that anecdote to kind of justify what's happening, and we kind of brush it off without actually looking at the problem. To what you're saying, we don't accept that problem because we want to push that on somebody else and be like, well, that's not the problem. Well, that is a part of the problem.
It is.
And I think until we accept that, until we accept the fact that we can go into I say low income neighborhoods because there are some low income white folks that live in the project.
Yes.
There are some, and we are equally as fearful of those people wherever they're living. So. I think that we got to get to that point too, just within our community too, and I always find that sometimes we don't accept those realities about ourselves to be able to have that conversation with our white friends and stuff like that.
And I think that's it. It's a community thing. In all communities, we have to take responsibility. We got to be responsible for our community.
Yeah, you definitely got to be responsible.
Yeah, like we'll create the change. We're planning community events to bring the diversity of each community group and police officers so that they can see that, no, life doesn't have to be one way. We live in a world where we'll walk down the street and we do everything we can to avoid eye contact. We do everything we can to say what's up. I've taken upon myself to say hi to people, to approach people. When I approach them, I'm say, hey, how are you? Hope you're having a good day. What's going on, King? What's going on, Queen? They're surprised. They're shocked because they're not used to that culture. If we can create a culture where we're engaging with one another and we're really being a community and not just grouped out black people here, white people here, whatever, but actually coming together and really walking in love, really extending love to every individual we see. If everyone takes that responsibility in their own communities, you'll see change happen over time just within that.
Change will definitely happen, and I think I'll piggyback, man. You guys brought up a lot of good points, and I think this is the one thing I definitely want to say today to the people that's watching is that I think we all aware what the issues are. I think we need to be more proactive in the answer and the solution.
Yeah.
Hey, if it angers you when you post something on social media, you then got to take several courses of action. You got to go out. My wife yesterday went out, shut down the 405 with the Black Lives Matter. She marched. I'm at the crib with the kids. Hey, baby, I love you. I'm proud of you, baby. I don't want you to stand. Like, I don't mind, being Coretta Scott King and letting her be Martin for the day. I don't have a problem with that because I feel like, hey, if my wife is going to do that, then she's going to instill that and put that in our children. And this is the thing. You said something. It was 2 points that you said that I wanted to follow up on. One was there's a lot of diversity in black. And a lot of people don't expect that. And I know maybe that might have been a thing for you to say, hey, well, if I went to a black school, I probably wouldn't.
Say that, yeah.
There's a lot of diversity. And I graduated from Texas Southern. And I can tell you, I learned there was so many different variations. Just like saying all black people are the same. No, it's vastly different variations that you would get. And I think like that's one thing that we have to not be afraid of. That should be our first instinct, is to go where we're from. And I think with us being in the preparation phase for what's coming in November, I think the best thing that could happen to black people is if Donald Trump gets in office. I don't know if that's... Let me tell you why. Yeah, I want you to... I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. You know why? And I want people at home. I want people at home to replay that.
That's why he's a comedian. Yeah. Because he's about to be on Wild Out.
Now, I actually want to hear about it.
I'm going to tell you why Donald Trump being in office could be one of the best things that happen to black people. It will force us to learn to deal with each other again. It will make us draw closer because we know we will fear what the outcome is, and we'll know that our government isn't going to look out for us. And if we know that our chief of staff, our head person is out here and that does not have our best issues and interests in mind, then we will start working closer together. See, right now we have a lot of systems in place. We have welfare, we have EBT, everybody food stamps. We have a lot of things that we can throw off onto the system. We got our relationships not being counseled and worked on, our families not being worked on, and we just throw our brothers to child support and get them jammed up in court versus really dealing with the root of the issue. Child support court didn't make you lay down with this person. Right. And we're not supporting black businesses now. We'll start having to deal with, we know that Trump is in office. We'll know he's not going to do it. We'll know his administration doesn't have our issues at heart. We'll start looking at our own issues instead of waiting for other people to do it for us. And I feel like black people right now, we got a handout instead of putting our hand toward putting our own future in our own destiny in place. And that's what I mean by that. If Trump steps in office, guess what's going to happen? Oh yeah, we got to do something now because we're going to wait to the last minute till now we got to start figuring out a problem. Versus we get Hillary in office, you know what's going to happen? Oh, she got it, she cool. Right. Her husband was a close thing. We had the black. We relaxed. Versus our grandfathers and grandmothers who really had to work at it. They didn't have welfare. They didn't have a handout line for that. They didn't have it. They had to be better than everybody else just to get equal opportunity, and they still didn't get equal.
Okay, well, hold on. Let me just be real clear, real quick. There is another stigma that we need to also change. Is also learning to embrace ourselves, and I say that because images are very powerful, and media has a way of swinging things around to make us as Black people look negative. Numbers don't lie. If you look at the numbers, it's about 65% more Caucasian white people that are on EBT and welfare than Black people.
Right.
But you're always going to see Black people and minorities make it seem as if we're always the ones on it.
And to your point on the media aspect, I was watching Diamond Reynolds. Every time that she was on, Diamond Reynolds, Philando Castile's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Every time that she was on the news, she made every moment about Philando Castile's life positive. Even his mother. So I think it's about how we change the narrative.
Exactly.
And
yes.
how we let somebody else change, do that for us. But I want to talk just to everybody, to your point about Donald Trump, and not necessarily Donald Trump, but just the office of the president in general, and this particular president, because. I don't know if you guys voted for Barack Obama these past two elections, but do you guys think that what do you guys think that the president could have done differently, or do you think he did everything that he could in his power to change that narrative for Black people?
I ask you a question back to your question that you have. How much more effort, how many more Black people is it than Barack Obama that had an active hand in possibly making a change in our country?
We have Eric Holder, we got Loretta Lynch.
No.
You're talking about in overall, or
you're
you're talking about
overall.
just...
Millions of Black people in
Right.
this country.
I don't
Right.
think
Millions upon millions.
I'm asking as a leader.
Right, as a leader, guess what? He was number 44. Let's just say for 2 consecutive terms, he did everything right.
Right.
What does that put you? That puts you with 43 other presidents who really didn't give a damn about Black issues and what we needed to have happen.
Yeah.
Right.
And guess what? Black people still had to live through that. Black people still had to find a way to make a way through that. And so that means that we had one president who might have had 2 terms that did that. The issue goes back to, I think, we're expecting one person to say, hey, you're going to do this for Black people.
Yeah,
Give us something.
Yeah.
Versus saying, hey, guess what? How have we unified any closer since Barack has been in office? Have we taken the last 8 years to say, because we're not going to have that again. I'm going to say that now.
Yeah.
We're not going. You can get that up.
Yeah.
You can get that up. Get that out your mind.
It was just with a chance.
That was the land of milk and honey.
We didn't take advantage of that.
I don't think we did.
Of having a Black president.
I don't think we're coming off a hot. It's just like saying, hey, did Golden State do the best that they could coming off a championship win to get that? It did. They didn't do everything. They were 73-10, but they didn't show up when it came time to the finals to execute. And I'm telling you, Black people, we're coming off 2 championships with Barack. We have not done anything to prepare for the next offseason to put ourselves in a better position. We put it all on what Barack ain't doing enough.
So let me let me ask you then. Go ahead.
I was gonna say because we stopped fighting after
we stopped
after
fighting.
the civil rights movement. We stopped.
Right.
Nothing of that.
I agree.
The civil rights wasn't supposed to stop. It was supposed to continue. Somebody's supposed to pick it up. That's why we have these deaths. We march. We protest. We calm down. Another death.
And that's what I want to ask you guys, because I know you just said that you were in Ferguson last week, and obviously we had New York protests. We had LA last night, and your wife was there. How effective or ineffective do you think Black Lives Matter movement has been these past couple of years? I have my own criticisms.
Well, I was in to let you know. I was there for when Mike Brown was killed. I went immediately 3 days after he was killed, and I was there and I marched. And I think that was I saw right after Trayvon that Black Lives Matter really starting to come out, and that's where I started realizing that a lot of things were missing. You know what I didn't see? I didn't see one pastor from any mega church, name one, pick your favorite pastor because he wasn't there, land his helicopter or plane in the middle of Ferguson and say, hey, this is what we need. We need organization. Right. I feel like we are more connected now and more disconnected than we've ever been.
Yeah, and I have that.
And I think we look at Black Lives Matter and asking what are they doing. There are young generation who are trying to make it happen with nothing.
Before you go into your facts, I want to say something. You posed a question you posed a statement and you said that Donald Trump would be the best thing that ever happens to us. And now we're talking about leaders, and now we're talking about the Black Lives Movement. The problem with all of that we're discussing is it shouldn't take Donald Trump to becoming president. No, even with Barack Obama as president, that shouldn't have stopped how active we were. That shouldn't have stopped our activists. And whether Donald Trump gets into presidency or not, that shouldn't be what gets us together. It shouldn't be the Black Lives Matter movement. Although it's a lot of criticism about all lives matter and blue lives matter. That's not what it's about. And I think that a lot of the times we get so caught up in trying to argue with each other. We get so caught up in trying to have a reaction or have a response that we're not listening and we're not internalizing what the cry is. We have been crying for years. Everybody hasn't been active, but now we have the opportunity through the movement to be on a larger scale, to be in a place where we have everybody everywhere talking about what's happening. So what are we going to do about it?
So that brings up a good point, because I want to talk about and by talk about, I want you to Kevin, just to give us a little bit about Create the Change and what you are doing to kind of promote that, to kind of get be active.
Well, we'll Create the Change is really birthed through just seeing everything the last week, seeing the hurt from the people. I noticed everyone was hurting. Everyone was hurting, and everyone felt helpless.
Yeah.
Because we've seen this time after time after time, and it's like, we've done all the marching, we've done all the protest. Why is this still happening? And people don't realize it hasn't been that long since the Civil Rights Movement. It has not been that long since slavery.
Right.
Which we're thinking it's supposed to be something in 2016, when the majority of the time that we've been here on this planet, it's been, I mean, not on the planet, but in America, it's been more of the slavery and more of segregation and stuff. And I just looked at it, and I just looked at the people, and I said, we have to. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do myself, but I know something needs to be done, and we can't just keep doing the same things over and over. Yeah, that stuff is great. Keep protesting, keep hashtagging, keep marching. But what can we do? And I posed a question on Facebook, and I said, if anyone's willing, who would be down to come together and just think of real practical solutions of what we can do? Because people, and then the Dallas shooting came, and people getting angry, and I'm like, that's not the answer.
Right.
Just getting angry. We have emotions, and it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to be sad. But let's channel that. Let's take control of that and channel that into passion, and point that passion in a certain direction that can really produce practical solutions that will turn into the change that we're looking to see. And it's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It may not be. It may not happen in our generation. And we look for something. We look for a solution that could take place like right away. Our generation, we are a microwave generation.
Right.
You look back in the Civil Rights Movement. They worked for things, and they didn't work for the whole at once. They took it law at a time, proposition at a time, act at a time. They fought for that, and it started 54. It wasn't until 64 till the Civil Rights Act, and then the Voting Act acts right after that, the year after, and we have to be willing to, when the hype fades down, are we still gonna fight? Are we gonna
still working?
Are we still gonna do the dirty work? It may not be posted on social media. I had a meeting with LAPD, didn't talk about it on social media, but we're trying to plan a meeting to where it's a conversation with the community, and it should be a beautiful thing, because there's an understanding that we don't get from them on why, what's taking place and why things happen the way they are. And I think if we can hear each other out and stop letting media dictate how we feel, because media is the problem. They twist up a lot.
They're twisting the narrative on a lot of things.
Like the Dallas shooter, they normally say the middle name all the time. They put whatever, the Micah X. I'm like, really, really trying to make this a race? You really trying to make this a race war?
You are, yeah.
And Create the Change. We had a strategy meeting on Saturday, and beautiful turnout. We had a lot of people come of different races, white people, Asians, and really just wanting to really come up with real solutions. And there were so many things brought up, and now we're just in the middle of implementing it. I told you about the community events that we're planning. There's a march that I want to do, a big march that's going to give pastors the opportunity to really get involved. I'm going to see who shows up, because it's going to be a community thing. It's going to be a prayer march,
That's the number one thing, is people showing up. Like, we saw a lot of people on social media show up. We'll see what happens next week.
Yeah.
And
right, who's willing to do the work for the long run? Are you willing to say, maybe I won't see change in my generation, but for my son, for my future children, for that little girl and boy, I want to make sure that they grow up in a world that's better. I may not see it, but I'm gonna put in the work for them. And you don't really get that all the time. You don't get enough people that really want it that bad. So hopefully now people are like, okay, we can't sit on our butts no more. We got to do something about it.
So is there a website or a Twitter handle? Or
how do they join the movement?
Yeah.
You can definitely follow Create the Change, CRE8 The Change, on Instagram, on Facebook, and then also email createthechange@gmail.com. Let me know if you're interested in volunteering. Again, that's CRE, the number 8, thechange@gmail.com.
And we will tweet that out after the show as well, so you guys can get involved. Also in the studio, other than Kevin and Billy, is my good friend and Malynda Hale. Welcome to the studio.
Welcome.
She's so pretty today. Malynda and I have a lot of conversations, probably like every day. She's probably texting me every day just about my thoughts on things. Welcome to the studio. I know you're running from a gig and got to go back right after this. How did you feel about last week? Because I know you had a lot of thoughts. She was just in Chicago last week. She just got back, got off the plane this morning.
Talk into this mic for me, please.
Okay, perfect. There we go. Yeah, better. It was rough. It was rough. Yeah. Emotions were high, and I think for me, I had to get off of social media this week because I felt like I was getting into the state of depression and the state of anger and angst all the time. And that's why I'm just like, I'm just going to text Drexel. I'm not going to talk to anybody on social media. But I'm for everything that you're doing. Absolutely. So God bless you for taking charge, because what we need, and Drexel and I talk about this all the time, is just real leadership, real people standing up and doing it, not just a hashtag. Yeah. You know, it has to be a movement and an action.
Oh, you better plug that thing I'm doing in a couple weeks. Not just a hashtag. Yeah. We'll talk about that. I see what you did there. I'll tweet it out. I'm moderating a conversation with director John Singleton in a couple of weeks here in Los Angeles. I will also tweet that out. So Malynda, out of all of this, you know, Malynda's a singer. She's an actress. She pretty much does it all. She owns her own business. She owns a JMV Entertainment, which does a lot of weddings and wedding bands and different things like that. So you can follow her at Malynda Hale. So out of this, everything that we've had to deal with over the last 3 years, we were at Fox and the Hounds the other day, and she sang this really great song called We Run, which kind of dealt with everything that we've been talking about for the most part. And so we asked her here today to kind of sing a little bit of the song what? Sorry. We like write notes to each other. And I'm like, what is that? So we asked her to sing a little bit of the song. So Malynda, talk a little bit about that process and how it got to that song. This song.
Yeah, I always am inspired by certain things and events that happen in the world, and I don't remember what specific situation struck me to write this song, but I remember just watching the news, and I was just overcome with emotion, and I just sat down at the piano and I wrote this song in like an hour. And it was one of the first times that I really just dug my heart and my soul and everything that I feel just as a Black woman into my music. Because when you're a musician, you want to reach everybody. But this is a very personal song, so. Yeah.
I definitely am excited for you to close us out with that song. Before we get to Malynda performing the song, though, I want to go around and briefly, if we could put out one statement of what we would like to see happen moving forward after today, now that it's calming down a little bit, what is one thing that you would like to see? And then I'm probably going to switch it over to B for the trending topics, and I'll let Malynda close us out.
You're going to sing us out.
Yeah, I would love to just have a moment to just be one with the song. But if there was one, like, moving forward, if you could put it in a few words, what is it that you want to see come from all of the conversations that we're trying to have, all of the actions that we're trying to take? Where do we want to go? What's the end goal?
Obviously, everybody knows that politics is what I know. Politics is what I do. Obviously, I'm involved in the community as a councilman here in North Hollywood. And I want to see more leadership evolve out of this. I want to see more Black faces, Black males. I was just talking to somebody the other day. We have Kamala Harris here in California that's running for the state for U.S. Senate, and then that's it. So we need to see more faces of color. I won't even say the word infiltrate is very negative, but that's what it is. We really need to kind of take over at the local level, the city council level, the state level, the congressional level. We really need to be focused on those. You know, DeRay, I won't even say Black Lives Matter activist. I know he does. What's the name of that? He does another. he's an organization, but he's like, but he ran out of Baltimore for mayor. So we have to see, but he was the only one out of 2 years. He was the only one that ran for office. Like, we can have this movement as much as we want to, but if that does not push us into higher office, then I think we're going to be in a little bit of trouble in the next couple of years, because we are going to be underrepresented like we are right now. And I appreciate everything that the Congressional Black Caucus does, headed by John Lewis, our civil rights leader, one of our time. And but I want to see more young activists like Keith Ellison of Minnesota be on the front lines for us and push those goals to inspire us. And young millennials to get more involved.
Kevin, Ingo?
I'll say stay active. Everyone stay active. Do not let the hype dwindling make you just in your seat. No, get up, do something to educate yourself. Learn about voting and what it really means to vote. Don't show up at the polls and just vote for the president. That's it. Too many of us did that with this, with voting, Hillary and Bernie and whatnot. I was guilty of it. Learn about who's running in your state. Learn about in your city, because we need to, like you said, we need to get the right people in offices. People died for us to have the right to vote.
Right.
And the fact that we take it so lightly, like, no, make sure your address is registered now.
Yeah.
Don't wait till the last minute. Don't wait till you see it on social media. Get it registered now, and make sure you are educating yourself on who's running and who's running with the same goals and visions that you have for yourself. And vote them in. Stay active. Plan stuff in your community. Get together, and let's change the world. Let's change the world.
Billy?
3 points, real small. 2 F's start off with family and finances on the local level. And you don't have to have a car. You don't have to have any of that. You can do this from your house. Work on your family. Get the cohesive black family structure back in place. I think that's what we're lacking at. And we can talk about getting other people and make faces of our movement, but if we're not doing what it takes behind closed doors at home, it's futile. Because this is what the issue is. People killing each other in Chicago because they're impoverished and their family structures are all torn apart. Bottom line, finances. That's the other F. You have finances, you don't have to do crazy stuff like out here selling dope, but we rap about it. We glorify that. But until people want to stop saying, I'm all for trapping, then what you talking about? Because honestly, there's no way to differentiate this music, this sound. And I'm not saying I don't like listening to Migos, but I know I'm one of the few people that knows how to put this in my head and not go out and do this. But for younger people, I got to go get my bands up. I got to go live out the trap house. Come on, fam. Come on. Like, we glorifying this. These chicks, y'all still hollering at dudes that don't have no education, that's not trying to push themselves forward. I'm not saying you got to have a college degree, but you don't have any goals in your life. Yeah. And this goes back to why your family structure's all tore up, because you married a trap god, and versus actually trying to find somebody to make a family with, and your finances is bad. So you out here destitute. So I think this can happen on a lower level. And then what you talked about having office, I think that's dope, but I think people could start looking at a way to circulate our dollar between us more. Yeah. We got look at it like this. When you spend your money, just think about how many faces that don't look like you when you spend your money. And when you look at where your money comes from, see how many faces look like you. Yeah. Right. And see how many of those people who are giving you money look like you. Mm-hmm. It's a question, because you don't see Korean people running through the black neighborhood buying stuff. They sell it. We the only set of people that you can go to the hair salon. You go, let me get that Compton girl number 7. You don't see no Brazilian people doing that. You don't see Korean people coming in the hood trying to buy our hair. Yeah. We the only people go buy other people's hair and put it on our head. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. I ain't saying you don't look good with your extensions, but when you think about it, it's like, hey. What do you need that?
No, definitely.
Is that necessary? Right. You don't see no Brazilian chicks saying like, "Hey, let me get some of that nigga number 5." They don't say it. They not doing that.
Sorry, I can't.
They're not doing it. So, and that goes back to us saying, "Hey, you beautiful just as you are. I love you just as you are. Right. I'm gonna be here to help you. Gonna raise these kids together as you are. And if you co-parenting, hey man, make your co-parenting work. Yeah. Family and finances, fam. That's what I think.
I think for me, it's just being more than a conversation, allowing the events or just whatever your personal experience is to motivate you to do something more than try to bandwagon off the conversation on social media. I'm not talking about it because you're talking about it. You talk about it. I don't care what y'all talking about. I'm talking about it because I'm scared for the lives of my brothers, for the lives of my sisters, for the lives of my children. So I'm trying to make action for that. So I think at the end of the day, just be more than the conversation. And then I want to ask you, and then you could go on to the comments.
You know what? I'm going to take it a step further. For me, I want to see honesty. And when I say honesty, I'm saying our foundation of America, period. There has been lies since centuries. We can't fix family. We can't fix finances. We can't fix positions if we're lying about our history. Our African Americans, and Native Americans, they have been erased from history books, and then we're getting upset when we're acting this way, or we're getting angry, and it's because our history is gone. It's been erased. And so I think when we're honest, when white people, black people, everybody, it doesn't matter the color, could come together and say, you know what, America was created on these lies or on this certain thing, then we can start rebuilding that foundation to do family, finances, and it will be all lives matter. Right now, we can't say that because by the numbers, black people are getting killed. That's reality of it. And black men can't even make it to their court cases because they're getting killed on the side from a routine traffic stop. So I think what I want to see is honesty from the top down and our foundation, and then we can have unity.
Even with each other, I'm not afraid to admit that sometimes I am scared. But why should I be scared of my people?
That's the narrative.
So it's something that we need to do together.
Yeah, for sure.
Malynda, I know.
I think piggybacking off of what you said, just us as a people knowing our self-worth. Because I think we fed in also to what we've been told, and we start to believe it. So I think once we believe black is beautiful, we will be able to show the world that.
Which, by the way, Malynda did that CoverGirl campaign a couple of years ago. It's a Black is Beautiful campaign.
Look at you.
Before you go out, before you start our trending topics, I just want to shout out to a few people that are in the room. Everybody that's watching right now, the entire Sorrells family is in the room right now. So that is great. Aaron, Natural Peachy, TN Timeout, and Jen Marie, thanks for joining our chat room. I see all of you. I'm watching all of you guys in the chat room. So continue that conversation there. B, talk to us about what's been happening.
Yes. So, you know what? It took me a long time to find some good stuff going on in the news since these last couple of weeks have been so sad. And usually have very uplifting, funny, trending topics. But to kick it off, the Fox CEO is under fire for sexual harassment cases, which I had no idea. His name is Roger Ailes.
Roger Ailes.
Yes. Yeah. And so just this past Saturday, 6 more women came out for sexual harassment. Yeah. So
it all started with Gretchen Carlson from Fox and Friends.
Exactly.
Who Elizabeth Hasselbeck from The View took over for Gretchen Carlson, so that's why she left.
Yeah, and so more came out this past Saturday. They're going to be, suing him and pressing charges, and I think that he goes into court by the end of fall. So we'll see where his money goes. I'm pretty sure he's probably going to get paid off and kind of silently pay them people off and kind of.
Rupert Murdoch will bury the hatchet on that
exactly,
over
real quick.
Over at News Corp.
And then lastly, guys, our favorite person, El Chapo, is back in the news for the.
I'm so tired of El Chapo.
El Chapo's my dude.
We talk about El Chapo almost every week. And so while all of us, we're fighting a good fight and everything, El Chapo is escaping. He has made his 3rd attempt to escape out of jail this past weekend. Now he has got transferred to go to Texas to jail, and there in Texas we know they don't play. That's where we're from. So
as soon as the El Chapo news came out, as soon as I read it, and as soon as they read it, we all texted each other and went, El Chapo escaped.
We
got to talk about it.
We can't even escape from work.
Can't even leave work.
And we El
Chapo's
so
out.
Like, if he escapes this time, just let him go, man. He
literally says that El Chapo reminds me of Michael Scofield from Prison Break. Because he is like always on, like he literally has to have that brain.
Okay, nobody catch El Chapo.
So that is a trending topic going on around the world right now.
We do want to congratulate Serena Williams.
Yes.
On her 22nd Grand Slam this weekend. Winning in Wimbledon in straight sets. That was pretty amazing to watch. And she just kind of fell out. out. She did.
She had
dropped that thing and just
Beyonce,
fell
Jay-Z
out.
in the
They
audience
were.
cheering them on.
But I will say this, as much as I love Beyonce, she just looked confused.
She didn't know how to
She
cheer
didn't know what
someone
to
else
do.
on. She looked a little
Right.
confused. She was like, "Is this how I clap for someone else?"
She was like,
She
that's,
probably forgot her glasses, guys. That's
she
not
said-
what we're talking
she said,
about.
That's amazing.
That is
I don't know
amazing.
what
She had her
happened.
hands up.
She
No.
did. Kept
No,
going.
that was an
And then they
awesome
left.
moment,
It was
though.
amazing.
Seriously,
So
yes.
congratulations to Serena Williams. Before we close the show, Malynda is going to sing. We have the music. But
It's working.
you guys can.
I think it'll work.
Is it working? Oh, we're here.
All
It's
right,
working.
James.
So she's
try
gonna,
it right now.
she's gonna sing us out, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Take it away, Malynda.
You see us black as a night, but we're invisible, invisible. You need us to shine your light so you feel beautiful, beautiful. Bloodshed stains on the sidewalk. They're not the right color for you. Why does my complexion revoke a connection? It's not enough to be a human too. So we run just to find the answers. We run just to fight another war. We run just to be a life that matters. But I still don't know what we're running for.
The name of the song, guys, is We Run, and you can get more of it at www.malindahale.com. We'll go ahead and tweet it out as she finishes the rest of this song. I'm just going to close us out because it's so beautiful, so please continue singing. I want you guys to thank you for our guests that are in the studio today. We have Kevin Welbeck. You can follow him at Kevin Welbeck, and you can also follow his initiative at Create the Change. We have Billy Sorrells here in the studio. You can follow him at Billy Sorrells, and be sure to be on the lookout for The Wild and Out, premiering August 4th on MTV. And, you know, I just think that today was a really needed conversation.
Yes.
That make sure that you tune in for the RNC convention this coming Monday. And this conversation is going to continue because next week we have another guest that will be coming into the studio so that we can do our part with the platform that we've been given to make sure that we are engaging and informing. So make sure you follow us on Twitter at BHL Polyculture. You can follow me at Hey It's Lay.
You can follow me at B Sorrells.
You can follow me at Drexel Heard, and we will see all of you guys next week. Take us out, Malynda.
Just to find the answers. We run just to fight another war. And we run just to be a life that matters. But I still don't know what we're running for. And we run. We run. We run. But I still don't know why we're running.
From executives Kevin Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio, Instagram @KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.